Hola, welcome to another episode of the Money Chisme podcast. Joining me today is Monica Balderas, first Latina real estate developer and builder, and she is here to inspire more women of color to go out there and build wealth and gain financial freedom through, starting businesses and invest in real estate. So, hola, Monica. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Sure. Thank you, Violeta, for having me here. Like she said, I'm Monica. I am a real estate developer and a builder here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area here in Texas. And I'm the owner of Longhorn Contractors, LLC, 100% woman owned. And I've been in business a little over 6 years now. A little bit about my background. I come from a family of 10, first gen. My parents are from Guanajuato, Mexico, San Luis de la Paz, a little rancho there in Mexico. And I always hear like podcasts and a lot of Latinas and, people of Mexican descent. They always have like a traditional upbringing, like, their parents crossed the border and their parents like did everything for them, right? I didn't have that upbringing. So like I come from like a very dysfunctional family. Like, I won't go into detail, but it's just like I didn't have the support like a lot of first gen do. Like their parents put them first. They were very supportive of their dreams and like really pushed them. And mine was like the direct opposite. I didn't have that support. I didn't have that loving family. My parents, they were alcoholics, abusive alcoholics. So, my upbringing was a lot different from other people. And so I feel like that's what really inspired me, not only just to start a business, but, just to change the narrative for me and my family. Number one, be a better mother to my children, show them the things that I didn't have and give them the love and respect and support that I didn't have. I'm like balancing having a business, building a business. I didn't have, an example or support. I have my partner now, which is my husband, and he's like my biggest support in everything. But other than that, I didn't have like family and friends during this whole business journey. So it's been really tough, like extremely difficult. There's been lots of times where I wanted to quit, and I'm sure you've had that.
Yeah.
On your journey where it's pretty normal, where you just feel like, this is hard. Like, what am I doing? Like, do I even belong here? We always question ourselves. I was a teen mother, so I got pregnant when I was 15 and actually married and out the house at 15 years old. So I was already living on my own with my first husband. I graduated high school, but other than that, I don't have a formal education. I took like a few college courses back then, but with being a teen mom and I decided I wanted to work just odd jobs. I mean, I've had like maybe like 10 to 15 jobs before I decided to open up my own business. My background is in property management. I started off as a leasing agent. It was in the multifamily industry. So that's kind of like where my real estate journey began. The last property management company I worked for, they gave me the opportunity to be an assistant manager. I was just, being a single mom, it's like your children really drive you. And I was just like super motivated. So started off as an assistant and then ended up property manager and then regional manager. And so essentially, I was overseeing about 15 apartment communities, 25 to 3,000 units, but I was in charge of like operations, like construction part of apartments. I oversaw a team of about 30 employees. So that included leasing consultants, assistant managers, property managers, and maintenance. I really liked it, but it was also very, very stressful. Like I worked until midnight sometimes. And I was a single mom. So it was like really hard. I felt like I had to prove myself a lot. And so I just worked really hard. In the end, it did start to affect me. Like I was working so much and basically neglecting my children. You know, I was a single mom and they were in daycare all day. Sometimes I would go pick them up late. I felt horrible as a mother, honestly. How I ended there was I have a history, mental illnesses. So they diagnosed me when I was 16 or 17 years old. Manic depressive, bipolar, anxiety, PTSD, like just those like mental illnesses that I dealt with. And like from that young age, I was exposed to like medication. You know, I was going to therapy, psychiatrists, and at some point on my journey, I had stopped taking my medication because like I was working all the time. And I was also like, I did drink a lot back then, but I actually like I sobered up. So I've been sober like completely since February of this year. I like been sober, like work was like my drug. So it just made me feel good about myself. And like I felt like I was being accomplished and providing for my children. So, you know, it wasn't in the best way, right? Looking back now, I wasn't, you know, treating myself well because I was neglecting my mental health, neglecting my physical health, neglecting my children, drinking. So, you know, looking back, those weren't the best decisions that I made, but also helped me like change my ways now and made me a better person. I kind of just like broke. I ended up going into a psychiatric home. And so I was there for like a couple of weeks. I want to say, like, you know, what you see on TV, that's how it is.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
it's scary. People are really, really like mentally ill because I was just like working for all those years, like nonstop, you know, and I would even have like vacation time, but I wouldn't take it. It caught up with me, right? Before I went into the psychiatric home, I met my now husband. We actually met because he's a builder contractor, and he was actually renovating one of the apartment communities that I oversaw and managed, and we met. He helped me like emotionally, like with stability, like really, because I never had that in my life, like from a young child. And so he like really showed me to me, you know, I felt like authentic love, like what we really deserve. You know, once I got out of the hospital and, you know, I was with my partner and I wasn't working for a short period of time, you know, my husband, he did like little side jobs, like he would do remodeling houses or even commercial projects, apartments and so forth. But he would work for like other small companies. Why don't I just start a company, right? You know, he has the skill set like to build homes. He's been doing it for like over 20 years now. And so I Googled how do you start a business, and then what popped up was LegalZoom. I don't know if you've heard of LegalZoom.
Yeah, I've used them like I think twice for like random stuff.
Let me do this because they do everything for you. Like they register your business. You just have to name, they register it through the state and all of that good stuff. So you basically just pay a fee and they do it all for you. And so I did. And that's how I started my business. The reason why I feel so passionate about encouraging people, you know, that you can start your own business is because I feel like a lot of people overthink that process. And they analyze and they overthink. And I mean, it's good, right? Because looking back, I probably should have did that a little more. I should have thought more thoroughly through the process and had a business plan, but that's just not how I'm set up. So so I just took action right away. Also, another reason why I wanted to start my own business, because I was like, well, hey, if I have my own business, no one can tell me like when I can go to work. And if I'm having that day, or if I'm feeling all depressed or having anxiety, you know, I'll just take the day off. I don't know if you ever heard of Gary V.
Gary V. He sounds familiar.
Well, he's like a motivational speaker.
Oh, okay.
There was like this video that popped up from Gary V. And he was talking about marketing, like online marketing and social media. And he was talking about Instagram and hashtags. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, you want to know what? I'm just going to try this. Let's see if it works. And I started an Instagram page in 2017. And so I just followed his video, and he was like, make videos on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and hashtags. He was like use 20 hashtags like on what your industry is or who you want to market to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's how I started. Like I
Mm.
literally started acquiring clients on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, I up until this day, I want to say I have not even spent $1,000 on marketing.
Oh,
And I've
wow.
already generated in my company 1.5 million. And
Mm-hmm.
like marketing is very important. And I know a lot of people spend thousands of dollars on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing that now that now that I'm scaling and growing my business, because I know it's important and I can't continue to do that if I want
Yeah.
to business, right? I was just making videos of like the small projects that we were doing. We specialize now in full gut renovations.
Oh, wow.
You're familiar with that, right? As the property owner.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the next goal is I want to start doing like renovations, like
Yeah.
rehabs, but for me to keep the house, not to flip.
So we focus on like fixture uppers and
Mm-hmm.
new construction. We're getting more now into new construction. I'm pivoting into new construction now. I just started acquiring small clients, and also word of mouth has helped me as well. Like if I've had a few clients and then they'll refer me to other clients. So I want to say like my first big deal was in 2019. And it
Mm-hmm.
was super exciting because it was like our first big deal, and it was on a fixture upper. So my client, she was a real estate investor, and it was actually her first flip fix and
Uh-huh.
flip. A realtor on Instagram referred her to me. So that first deal in 2019, it was about 95,000. And I mean, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from like where I come from, my background as a regional manager, I was not even getting paid well, and I was doing so much. Looking back, I was like, wow, I was so underpaid.
Yeah.
When I left my job, I was only making like 50,000 a year.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was responsible for a lot, like helping these owners generate millions of dollars money.
Mm-hmm.
That also opened up my eyes, right? And I like scored my first deal, which was 95,000, and I was like, wow,
Wow.
this is big.
Yeah.
So I was just really excited. Like towards the end of our project, like everything was going well. We were almost like done. I want to say like 80%. During that time in the beginning, I worked a lot with him. So I know how to frame, I know how to do drywall and texture. I basically know a little bit of everything. Like we were working all day that day, and it was I think on a Friday. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, let's go leave my kids with my mom at that time. And so we went to like this little place in Oak Cliff.
Mm-hmm.
It's called like the Bishop Arts District, and it was like
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we went there, and everything was fine. And during that time, I was still drinking, so we had like a couple of drinks, and we were just enjoying ourselves, like relaxing, because we really had a hard day at work. So
Yeah.
the owner of that restaurant had approached us, so we started talking to him, and we were like, I was telling him, hey, we have a small business. If you ever did any work on your restaurants, because he owned like a couple of restaurants in the area, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, please use us. And he actually was going to use us. And then shortly after that, a fight broke out, and we weren't a part of it. Like we were just there. Someone threw a beer bottle at my face and
Oh,
like
wow.
literally knocked my teeth out.
Wow.
And it was during like my first big deal.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, like you don't have anyone to rely on. I was literally on my hospital bed, like with no teeth, calling my client, like
Wow.
still working. I mean, I was doing what I had to do. And, thankfully she was understanding, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
we were still able to complete the project and everything. And then in 2021, I met another client off of Instagram, and
Oh.
she's a real estate investor. I would like look up hashtags like for real estate investors, Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like becoming like more strategic and
Yeah.
like looking for people in the area. I would like go onto their Instagram and see if they were working on any projects and so forth. So I would kind of like do my own research too, and kind of like to try to attract and acquire clients. And so anyhow, this one client, she was a real estate investor, is a real estate investor, and I built 7 homes for her
Oh, wow.
in the South Dallas area. And so with that client, I was able to generate, like, that's when in 2021, that's when my company like took off, because
Yeah.
she gave me consistent work. So each home that we did for her, minimum of like 120,000. So like, and closing 6-figure deals off of Instagram. I mean, you just have to put yourself out there, because
Yeah.
a lot of people sometimes they worry about perfection too much. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like my video's messed up, or it's not, or I don't have like these professionals helping me, or like content, and they want to be on a content schedule. And I mean, I don't knock that.
Go for it, because a lot of people just get stuck, and I see that like they want to do something, and they know that they, like, for example, start a business or whatever, but they get stuck in that, like how you're talking about, that they want it to be perfect, or they're doing too much research or whatever, and like they just need to take action at some point. A veces you just got to do it, and then it's not going to be perfect, but at least you got that rolling, just like how you did. You went out there, and even though you didn't have like your business plan or whatever, but like look where it got you by just saying, you know what, I'm gonna go take that first step.
So like my company grew really fast, like in a short period of time, because the previous year I had generated an income about 320,000, and then it tripled the next year. So like to $1 million. That's where all the setbacks and the failures happened. I was overseeing more employees, more contractors, a lot more moving parts, City of Dallas permits. I was working with structural engineers, with architects. My client, they buy a piece of property, and these homes that we were working on, they were like built in 1900, like they had not been renovated. The first home we did was literally on tree trunks.
What?
Like, yeah. Like, have you ever seen a house like that?
No.
Yeah. So back then, the way the homes were built back then here in Texas, the foundation, well, now we have concrete and pier and beam foundation. Well, back then they use literal tree trunk stumps as the foundation. So like these homes were old. So we literally like gutted them, and they were like new construction, because like the first home we did, like the city wanted to demolish it, and the owner, the real estate investor, she was like, I've talked to so many builders, I've talked to so many contractors, and they all tell me you just need to demolish this property. But then here we come along, and we didn't have to demolish it. Thankfully, we have a good team, skilled trades, and we were able to save that home for her and rebuild it with the structural integrity of the home. And so we built it from the foundation up. I'll be honest, as a business owner, I was working in my business. I wasn't working on it. And so, I dropped the ball like on a lot of things. Looking back, we could have just done like a better job, maybe saved a lot of money. We made mistakes like with blueprints and the engineers, and sometimes we had to go and get like the blueprint or the layout redone. So a lot of just expensive mistakes were made. And during that time, like a couple of like lawsuits, I'm a person that just takes action, and I just start business through LegalZoom.
Yeah.
Well, that's where like I regret that I didn't think out all of these things back then.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thankful, that's where your mindset comes in, because, a lot of people, a lot of businesses fail,
Mm-hmm.
they don't make it past 5 years. That's just the statistics of it, right?
Yeah.
I was still able to overcome and adapt to every situation. When I started my business, I didn't file my business taxes because I literally started a business, and I'm okay with sharing it. I just failed forward. Yeah, they were failures, and yeah, I didn't have a lawyer. Yeah, I didn't file my business taxes. I now have a CPA. I'm back on track. I filed all of my taxes and owe a lot of money. When you owe money, that you're making money. This year has just really been a year of personal growth for me, because I now have an attorney that I'll utilize, has reviewed my contracts, because that was another thing. Girl, whenever I would do small jobs, I wouldn't even get anything in writing.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how important that is. You need
Yeah.
something in writing, you need to have a contract. So those were some of the things that, I was just so gullible and vulnerable and just trusted anybody off the street. And you can't do that in business.
Mm-hmm.
You have to protect your business and at all costs. Honestly, I just never been good with numbers. And during that time period where we were generating a lot of income, there was so much money coming in, going out. I know I lost a lot of money.
I have too, because I used to do, when I first started investing, I did my own taxes, and then it was until I was trying to buy another property, and then it was actually the loan officer, they review your tax and stuff. He's like, you haven't been depreciating your properties and stuff like that. I was like, I didn't even know what that was. And then he's like, yeah, you've been losing money. And so that was kind of all right, I can't do everything myself sometimes. And so now I have a CPA. Yeah.
Have a list of people that you'll be able to call on. If you ever have to go through a lawsuit. Or another important thing that I would encourage you to do on your journey is to hire a mentor or an advisor. It helps, because especially if you hire a mentor or an advisor that is where you want to be, they're able to warn you and tell you, hey, don't do this, don't do that. Because I can remember there were so many times in the earlier years where I didn't know what I was doing. And since I wear multiple hats in my business, from marketing to closing the contract with the client, to project management, to ordering the materials, to overseeing the contractors and employees, payroll, everything. I do everything. And having a mentor that you can call is life-changing. It can help you save a lot of money, save a lot of headaches, save a lot of heartbreak. And that's a part of investing in yourself. I have hired two, and I don't regret it. They've helped me continue the growth in my business and personally, my personal development. And I've really gotten comfortable with failure. If you're not failing, are you even trying? Trying anything new if you're not failing? So many people get caught up in their mind, and I get it. You just keep going no matter what. Why did I fail? What did I do wrong? What can I do now to prevent those things from happening? And it has really helped me in business just to be resilient. But all of those things, all of that pain, I've been able to transmute it into something positive. And I'm now enrolled into Cornell University and taking classes, and I'm really excited because I'm learning. And we want a sustainable business that's going to last and grow for the next 20 years. At least that's what I want. And to continue to have that time freedom, because I don't have to call my boss anymore and ask for vacation or to take my kids to the doctor.
So what's next for you?
I also have Latina Millionaires. That is an online community that I am working on and
Mm-hmm.
developing that will eventually be a business next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a community where I just really want to encourage and empower all women of color, that, if I can do it, if I can build a business from nothing,
Mm-hmm.
broke, 4 children, no formal education, I just want to encourage you that you can also build your dreams. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have the resources, there are resources out there. So that Latina millionaires community is essentially going to be a resource for women of color. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that I'm working and developing on that part.
If people want to reach out to you, like, where can they reach you or work with you?
So yeah, you can reach me on Instagram. On the business side, it's DFW Longhorn Contractors, or on LinkedIn at Monica Balderas.
And I'll make sure to have that all linked in the show notes and everything. But other than that, any final thoughts?
Go after your goals and dreams, and sometimes, a lot of times we have like these big goals and dreams, but sometimes just take baby steps. Work on those goals and dreams every day. Just take small actions, and those small actions, they build up to something bigger, to the big vision, to the big company that you want to have. And have your depression episode, cry your eyes out,
Mm-hmm.
get mad, but after you're done doing all of that, get back up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stay down, and just continue to move forward. Be yourself, be authentic, show up in the places that were not created for us, and create a table for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and just go for it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on here and sharing your story, your journey, and mindset tips and your journey through being an entrepreneur and having your business and showing, like, being transparent about it, because I think that's what we need oftentimes, because you see, like, on social media or whatever, everybody's succeeding or whatever, but they don't see that struggle, which is part of the process. And to show that and to tell them, like, hey, it's okay, it's going to happen, it's all that you have to pick yourself back up and build that resilience and continue moving forward and not letting that failure, because it's going to happen at some point, no, either at the beginning or in the middle or at the end, towards um the key thing is just to push forward. And so thank you for coming on here. But other than that, I will see everyone in the next episode.
All right,
Bye.
thank you so much.